Good evening, everyone. Welcome to EduTALK. EduTALK is a weekly virtual talk show created out of the need for a global learning community, and we focus on topics. So, Dr. Barker is here with me this week as my co-host. I'm very happy to have him here, and a pity he wasn't there in Jamaica with me with the interview with my grandmother last week. Yeah, it was good. So we're following up this week with the tracing our roots, because on that previous topic we talked about tracing our roots and interviewing my grandmother. It was very good. So we're tracing our roots and we want to talk about some aspects of our development and how we can benefit people too as well, motivate them and help them to understand that we have some connections with each other in terms of our development, whether we grew up in poverty or not, rich people, poor people, and so on. There's some level of connectivity there among us. Dr. Barker, it's so good to spend the time with you this week.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So I'm glad you look at the video too, because I was very like hesitant with interviewing my grandmother because she never really liked camera. It was afterwards she said we should do more like this. So
you did have me thinking that we're missing out on a lot of how, because while we might believe that they are not, say, literate enough to be, how they share their stories, it is still relatable. So you still can understand it, and yes, maybe an international audience may not be able to understand the exact, the patois interjections here or there. The stories are still relatably enough that even if someone, they can understand it. So I mean, I found your interview with the grandmother quite relatable, to keep to that word. I listened to you and I was like, it is a story that resonates in that sense.
It was good. I'm gonna try to get my grandfather in June, because June is Caribbean Heritage Month, so I'll try to get some things in there with him. But you should, as you mentioned to me, that there's some themes coming out of it too, that I really wasn't paying too much attention to some of them because we have lived them so much. So in that interview, I wasn't paying attention. For example, growing up in Jamaica, you grew up in poverty, but you don't really feel poor. You just know that you're lacking access to certain things, and it's normal. It's normal.
There's a saying, that they say that is being wealthy. You can be wealthy in two ways. You can be wealthy by acquiring a lot of possessions, or you can be wealthy by desiring less. So by desiring less, sometimes it allows you to appreciate what you have around you, but also just be happy with what you have around you, not necessarily. So like, the kind of poverty that it's clear when I listen to your grandmother, I could just literally understand it. I'm like, wow, and sometimes we get through these stories and life moments and just, as you said, just leave it as way in the back. And it's only when you hear someone, because, I'm listening to, and I hear your grandmother say, well, you get 2 orange each.
Yeah. I remember.
Right? And the person who's watching this cannot comprehend what that really means and the kind of understanding that has to exist between, in a family, to say, this is lunch. And remember, orange is just a fruit. For some people, having 2 oranges, the thing they'll do just leading up to lunch.
Yeah.
But, and having 2 orange for lunch is if they go on a diet. I said, boy, I'm not having anything else. But here we have a person, family, and it seems like there's another person going to school with you as well. She said 4 orange.
My brother.
Right. So the two, I have 2 orange each. And at lunchtime, you make sure you eat your orange and you come home for dinner. And this is a powerful, we know that there are kids who go without lunch, but even just having to know that lunch was going to be 2 orange daily. This is your lunch. And our memory of it was like that. And I'm like, wow. It really speaks to a kind of, the way how life was. I mean, we are now in positions where we're on the plane every day traveling and, and living in big cities and talking to huge crowds and molding minds in the schools that we work. But there is a harsh reality. But here's a piece I'm going to tell you. There are many people in Jamaica right now where that is life still.
Yeah.
Sometimes we leave and think, because I left, what I left isn't there anymore. Jamaica advanced. The reality of it is that there are many kids right now who are not going to school because the parents maybe don't even have the orange to give to them.
Yeah, it's true. And those oranges come from our tree,
Exactly. So, and just to arrive at an agreement that you're not going to go to school now, go fight no one or grudge anyone, is a go have your orange and no say a lunch that.
Yeah.
Humbling, but powerful. So
Yeah.
that
That's
really
one
grabbed me so.
aspect. Yeah, the aspect of the orange, and it was when we were in 10th grade and 11th grade doing the external exams, the CXC and the GCE back then, when you cannot stop from school.
Yeah.
Need those days in for academic purposes. So and then the orange is one aspect of it. You're looking at taking public transportation to school. You don't have any.
So that is the only way where money come in. You need money to go to school.
You have to beg ride. You ask.
Big drive.
Yeah,
so you speak, Dice. Is the same experience. It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You can't get a drive. We used to live near to the what you call the banana board, Agualtaville. That's out by
yeah, in St. Mary.
St. Mary, right? So we used to live near to that. So that means if we're anywhere in like I get and see any van, we have the banana sign on it. We know that is a drive home.
Yeah.
You're running and you're waving, you're trying to make sure so you can get a drive because you save yourself a little bit of spending.
Yeah.
And then I used to have another luxury. Used to be a man who is I don't even know the man name, the man don't know my name. I don't know anything about the man. I don't know this man at all. I have no way of knowing this man. But this man used to ride his bike from near to where I live some days to go to Highgate. And if I'm lucky, that man will pick, if I'm lucky and there at the time when he's going, in carry me straight to school from my bike. And we're talking about 10, 11 miles, not a long journey, a near journey.
Yeah.
But if I'm lucky, like I'm there and he's passing, him not pass. I don't know him, he doesn't know my family, I do not know the man. But one day I'm there waiting and him see me and him pull over and ask me if where school, because obviously that direction where I'm going, he can always offer a lift to somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He can always be in a position to offer a lift to somewhere, whether 1 mile down the road or 2, because it's only one thing can happen in that direction.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so him offer me a ride when I know you put out your hand and you try all kind of things as kids, right?
Yeah.
So, it's funny. I don't even know the man for even thank him. You know what I mean? But there are many mornings where, because every time I get a drive, I save the bus fare money.
Of course.
You understand?
Yeah.
But the fun part of it, we used to walk home as well.
My God.
We used to leave school from a school finished 2:45, I think. We start walk.
My high school is 7 miles from where I live in the bush. 7 miles. So we used to walk to. There's a little.
As soon as school finish, you just start walk.
Yeah, there's a little bakery on the way. It's closer. It's almost in the middle, but it's closer to where I live. Pun's Bakery, Mas Pun's, the man used to be called. And we used to save the money. If we had $10, Jamaican $10 would be cents in US. And save the money to buy the small bullas. The little.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And eat it.
So these are features that you maybe would know that on the walk home, you have to be prepared to do, because you save your money, so you might have money to spend.
Yeah.
We used to also have the luxury, because we used to walk. I think there's maybe only 2 or 3 times in the entire time that we have ever set off a walk. And I mean, every evening we set off to walk. And we really walked all the way home.
And that's 10 miles?
It's maybe more than that. Yep. But the luxury of it, as I said, because the banana vans and so on, you always end up get a ride somewhere.
Yeah.
By the time we get close, we normally get a ride, take us to another point, and then we get to another point, get another ride. Because as soon as we say a van, all of we start wave, and the van man normally kind enough. Yeah. One might not stop. And to be fair, no one has ever stopped and in fact stopped and charged us. In fact, The only person who used to charge us to take their vehicle was a teacher
Oh my
from the
God.
same school that we are coming from.
No.
The only person that has ever charged us, I used to routinely charge, was a teacher who had a van.
Oh God.
Yeah. So we used to walk. But what was fun about those trips though was, you know, like if it's a mango season, then you know mango trees are gonna be along the way, right? You know them things there?
Yes, yes, yes.
And if it's apple season, you know, apple trees along the way.
Guava.
Yeah,
Guava as
but
well.
orange always in season. So you know
Always,
you
yes.
can, but not every orange tree you can pick from. Some people watch them orange, you know.
Oh my God. This guy on our way from school to the guy, God bless his soul. That guy used to be friends with my grandfather, but he used to have his long gun and he has this massive orange walk, and you dare not crawl over that fence and pick
Yeah.
he's coming after you.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
used to have that with a coconut walk where them have man gardening with gun. But coconut never really appealed to us as a thing to have really.
Yeah.
Because at the time I didn't know much about how to open a jelly easy. When I then moved to college now, we learned so we just need a stick
Oh, really?
to open it, just to go straight through the eye. Just go right down
Oh,
through
the
the
eye
eye
is soft.
and drink. So
Oh,
it's not hard work.
I didn't know that.
No, it's not hard work after you learn that trick, you know.
My God. You know, one thing you mentioned though, Miguel, that it resonated with me is in your message to me, you said that poverty really teach people resilience,
Yeah,
you know,
man.
some degree, yeah. And I remember, well, if you look at the scripture reading talk about the fact that you must become poor in spirit.
Yeah.
So you can have money and you can have possessions, but you have a very humble heart, a very
Yeah.
humble soul inside of you that you give back, and you touch lives no matter where you are in term on the financial ladder or salary scale. But the other thing to couple with that is the resilience that you get from poverty. Because and then there's this guy, I forgot who said this too. I think it's Aristotle or somebody said that poverty, the irony of poverty is that poverty is the parent of innovation and and um and stagnation, as it were. You know, because of poverty, you innovate so much. And two, because of poverty too, you might end up nowhere. You might end up
Yeah.
becoming nobody.
It's a good point because you and I are here from different pathways, but maybe similar starting points. But we also know that while it is easy to look at our success then as we emerge from that and say, well, see there, these people have emerged from this kind of poverty, and here, look at them. Therefore, nothing is so wrong with it. What we
Yeah,
know that the statistics of failure much higher. There's so
much.
many people that you know that didn't make it, right? Didn't leave even the community that they were in, didn't achieve an education. Is not still not able to take care of their family and themselves. So that is the harsh part of it. Of course, I do feel proud, and there are always going to be some people, quite likely some woman, who stood there to ensure that you never fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
You know, in my case would be my mother in that sense, because I grew up with my mother for some points. Then I had like a weird kind of growing up. Almost every year I would be living at a different house, you know. So like when I actually had sense, I knew I was living in my father's house. Mother wasn't present.
Wow.
Then at some point, something happened and I moved back to my mother's house. And I passed common entrance, and because school was like, there was only one school in St. Mary that boys could go to. So that was about 10 to 12 miles away, and certainly an hour traveling. And so and it cost money. So I moved to one of my aunts to live. Then I left my aunt's house and went to my grandmother's house.
That was in high school?
These are all high school. Left grandmother's house and then go back to my mother's house. You know, and when I hear a grandmother even talking about, you know, she says you only have one uniform,
Yeah,
right?
I'm shirt.
And you come up and it wash and put behind the fridge and it dry again for the
Yeah.
next day. I'm like, My God, I thought I was the only person who had one uniform. I'm going to school and I come home, and as I come home, my mother start washing the shirt, surely. Yep.
Yes. Yes.
One uniform I had, and this, we didn't even have a fridge to put it behind. I didn't have electricity growing up at all. I think there may be one or two moments where I had electricity, and it wasn't directly wired. It was like somebody you pay
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
plug in and you can use it at your house. And my mother would pay them that way. But I never grew up with no point in my living within my mother's home did we ever have a television that was used in the house, like this is our television, and certainly not a refrigerator. There were moments where sometimes we plug in and so on, but not like, in a way that you can say you come home and turn on TV and watch TV. Nothing like that. That's never my life.
Oh, wow.
And even the drying of the clothes was literally drying and praying that there is enough wind. I was living near the sea, so we always had good wind.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And if it no dry, you know what happened in the morning, have to press dry.
Yeah, yeah. Iron it. Yeah, yeah.
Have to press dry it, iron it till it dry. So, but you get used to those things as normal, as you say. Like you just come home and know, say, you know what, this is it. You have one pair of shoes, it have to go everywhere. So it's just, I was listening to you, I'm like, my God, we didn't even know that,
Yeah. But the thing
But
is,
that is life. People think life is easy, life is hard.
yeah, even and they have a whole lot, and they think life is hard. They have a lot more than anybody else.
But your grandmother speaks very well and sounds like a lady who has, given you a lot, given a lot of time, given a lot of patience, invested a lot in you. So it's good when you touch base and make her she feel, honored and valued and important, It's a nice thing for her to experience that, because that's almost all that she wanted of you, that you would become something. Become something. My mother used to say, you must have ambition. That's what my mother used to say, have ambition. And for her, that's all that mattered to my mother, that I had ambition, that I was never, I think her message was never to let the surroundings that you were in determine the limits that you could achieve. Having ambition was a kind of aspirational message to me that this is not the limit. This is not what you should want. And she was very cautious about that and very careful and deliberate about it, because whenever I did anything that would reflect to her that I was acting within the constraints, like decisions I would take, she would always point out to me that, that in a way that made me realize I let her down, in the sense that she would always use those kind of phrasing and words that allow me to know that the only hope she has is that I do have ambition, and that would be the thing that drive me to success,
Yeah, it's very big.
I mean, that's all I think she wanted. I mean, there was nothing else to give to us but words, of wisdom and a constant messaging that that resonates all the time. So, every time I was going through school, I'm thinking, you have ambition. What is your, you used to have the children who say, my ambition is to become. And so maybe need to have maybe Jamaica need a new mantra, have ambition for the kids, because the kids them not have no behavior, no respect.
And she said you could even get the rocks to do whatever you want, but not the kids, because they.
I've heard that so many times. I think it's still what it was. I think kids were always tough in Jamaica. I mean, I know many parents who struggle to control, let's use the term control loosely, but certainly to guide their kids and have influence on their lives in a positive way. Many, because the negative influences are always there. And not every kid is going to feel like it's a fair deal for them to go to school and then be hungry when they could have stay a yard and go catch fish. Or stay a yard and go pick ackee, or stay a yard and, get some banana. You know what I mean? Or go on a little move with someone. So these are real issues.
Like nowadays, because my nephew still grows with my grandmother. I'd say his great grandmother is growing up with, and the challenges that she has with him is very different from the ones that we have when we're growing up. For example, we would help no matter how hungry we are. We wait on the food to cook on the fire. We didn't have any fast food, any chips and whatever they have nowadays that they give to kids, and they can run to the shop and buy. Those chips did not invented yet. And so, but the laziness, we call it lazy. They don't call it lazy, the young kids. They think that you're putting them to work all the time. And then we don't know how to deal with it. They think that if they engage themselves in a lot of work around the house or to help their parents, they think that it's child labor. They think that we're putting them to work. And in our minds, we didn't see that when we were growing up. We saw that as helping, and it's our duty to help our people, to help out. Because if you don't, that is more work you're putting on your family, your mother, your grandmother, your father, your
Yeah,
grand.
but I mean, there are many things at play there. One, your grandmother is much older as well. One,
Mm,
your grandmother had the luxury of having you first and your brother and had no need to discipline because
mm.
you guys followed the rules. But she might not have had a strategy for when you didn't.
Right, that's
And
true.
so having a child now comes in, it's maybe more frustrating to her, knowing that she had done that with other kids. It should be okay now, you know. And then in her head, she might even be of the view that this child has a lot more than you did. So therefore should be more thankful and would be kinder.
Mm-hmm.
But humans aren't like that. You know, kids still need the same, you know, you might not have known what the boundaries were, but you knew them, you know. No one might have been explicit, but they were clear.
Yeah, yeah,
But
it's true.
we have seen that, you know, especially last kids and so on. It's very hard because parents sometimes don't even have the strategies to deal with them because they're older. You know, everybody has moved on and it's just a matter of. But having said that, the online stuff and the influence also is there.
It's a lot, yeah. It's a lot more than when we were there. As you
Yeah.
mentioned about the TV, we had the electricity. I saw the wires being put up when in 1990, early 90s, like 91, 92. They were putting up wires coming into our community. And we saw that going up. I remembered when we just got the first TV we got, we actually won it in a raffle in the church. A massive big back, the big extended back TV, and a
Yeah, we
big
know that's what TV
black
was,
and
no?
white. And it was massive. It couldn't even work properly. But we saw the little seeds and the picture was flying up until you get it, you control it, and you could hardly hear anything on it. But we struggled to watch TV on it. And then we got a little stove. The stove was remarkable. We realized that we could cook on the stove instead of the wood. And my grandmother hated the stove because she said the food doesn't taste good. Tastes good.
And that's maybe true as well. It doesn't taste like the tastes that she
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Certainly, you know.
But
No,
I remember all of that, the
it was a
development.
great interview. Lots
Yeah.
of points that that, as I said, connected with me.
Mm.
How she explained herself was quite relatable. Just like my grandmother, I have a grandmother who had a bush as well, was a
Yeah.
farmer.
A
My
farm.
grandmother didn't teach, she expected to know, but she had a bush maybe about 3 or 4 miles away from where we live. And that's an early Saturday morning walk.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she get up from about 4 a.m., you know. And my grandmother used to have a thing where she said, she tell you what time she going, you know. He said, if you're not up, she not calling you.
She gone.
She's gone. She's not making anyone late because she needs to get that walk done. It's a flat walk, like the sun is going to come down. And
Yeah.
she could finish most of that walking before the sun rise.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
her aim is to get most of the walking done in the first hour and a half under the cover of,
The dark.
dawn and early morning. So
Yeah.
when she says Saturday morning, because she used to work in the week, Saturday morning she go into our bush.
Yeah.
Not worrying about getting in anybody attacking her or anything. She's
Yeah.
just interested in leaving early, but she does like to have us along because it gives her some form of protection, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
while she, as a woman, going alone is vulnerable, person walking with kids tend to be safer.
Yeah, yeah.
Even if someone is up to do some wrongdoing, them really have to be crossing a serious line to attack a woman with 2 kids or 3 kids walking behind them. It's just not. So I think one of the reasons why she'd always want us to go along was to have that kind of protection. But she's not waiting on you when she wake up in the morning. But the good thing is she was such a good person, that if you go to her, go to bush with her, even if you're not family member, when you're coming back, you're bringing back a bag.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if
And
she
you could come
feed
back
you.
with some yam and come. So kids would go, the families would send the kids, and we will help clear land and burn, and plant. So you literally would go on a Saturday morning at like say, get there for about 6 a.m. She'd make chocolate tea,
Yeah.
start
Oh,
the fire,
yeah.
chocolate tea with
Yeah.
hardware bread. You
Yes.
have that. And then we play gun war, and we play hide and seek, and we help with the fire, and we help
Did you
with the...
shoot birds too with a slingshot?
No, I was never good at shooting, but other friends were just never good at it. And I never had a slingshot, you know. And then that was on until lunchtime. She normally make a nice kind of corn pork soup.
Yeah, wow. I
With
love
fresh
that.
out of the ground provision and peas where we just shell, because we have to shell our gungo. All that is done same day. Coconut we grate the same place. She always use cassava dumpling, not flour. So we have to root the cassava, we grate the cassava, make that into dumpling and cook that. This is very normal for me in the grade after that.
Wow,
Seriously.
That's
And then, you know, we do that. And then by the time she finished, by about 4 o'clock now, you know, it's time to go. She started bang up things and kid with cane until we cannot move. And then when we go back, we walk by the river. So we normally maybe stop and take a dip, depending on the time. Just to stop and take a dip, and then walk home. Everybody go to them home, and that was it. And in the summer, especially, this was when, you know, in summer was nice. You get mango time and apple time, and
the only difference, there are two differences between that and me, is that we didn't have any river, so we couldn't swim in any river when we're coming back, but everything else is the same. And we didn't have any mango trees. We're up in the Dry Harbor Mountain in St. Anne. There's no mango trees up there. So
okay, no, we know when it's mango time. What we saw for mango time was this: we used to all go to mango in the morning. When you come back now, we're picking up mango, and what all of us end up doing is group our mango together and sell mango when we reach back.
Wow.
We sell mango, you know. So no, we used to sell mango and make our own little money. Everybody put the mango them together and we sell them for 10 cents and 5 cents, and if a string is cheap. But if you get all the turpentine, and my favorite mango was a mango called black mango.
Black mango, I love.
That's my mango, you know. So I don't really sell black mango, because especially when you find you have them small normally. When you find out you have some black mango brand new, big,
yes.
Oh man.
And they're not
my mango. I haven't seen them overseas at all, but I love that mango.
I wait for Brownstone Market. You went to Brownstone Market?
No, not a beer, man. Not a beer.
Not a beer as a market too?
I thought we have a proper market, you know, which is actually a market. It's called Metcalf Market, because I think Anata Beer used to be called Metcalf a long time ago, like way back. I haven't seen anyone write a history of Anata Beer. But Anata Beer have a lot of historical buildings, you know, buildings that go way back in 17, 1800, 1500, 1600s, you know.
What?
There's some churches. The market is and it had a harbor going out into the sea where people used to come. Anata Beer has a lot of historic buildings. I mean, you know, having someone who has traveled the world now and go and say, okay, when you come, you need to visit this place and that place, and you go and look at a church and you go, yeah, me have that in my community, but you pay to go and see it, right? You think in Jamaica really haven't maximized that historical value that these places have. Anata Beer is a drive-through tourist town, when in fact, Anata Beer should be a stop tourist town. People should stop in Anata Beer, deciding when they come to pick, they go up on TripAdvisor and they say, you know, maybe stop in Anata Beer and book ticket to view the Baptist church and the Anglican church. You know, you have people, tour guide, and taking them through and showing them some things where they did, and show those things don't happen because we don't think of our but you travel to Portugal or Spain or whatever and see what happened. You're going into some church to look at a church. Then after that, you go to a grave to look at a grave, you know, and this is what it is. And look at that. This is what it is. And they build them up and they gift shops and all of these things. I mean, how difficult it is for Jamaica, for example, to have. We have one museum for Bob Marley and it is in Kingston. Having tourists is a long trip. Why can't one be on the North Coast? What's stopping that?
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean? It's just the way we brain works. So anyway, I know you have to run. But that was a really powerful interview I watched. I was really drawn to it. So
very, very good. I'm glad you're sharing the story and making connection. You never know, you know, until you share, you figure out that that you have connections there. That's very good. Miguel, take it easy. Have a great week, and we'll talk. We'll talk later on. I hope everybody have fun.
If you have a time tonight, send me a message, and if I'm up, I should be able to sign in.
Yeah, man.
I'm on the weekend, so I'm not as tired. You know, when I come in now, I'm not tired. Like, working the day, my God. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, everybody. This has been EduTALK. Enjoy your week. I hope you have some stories to share. It's very good to share stories so that you can connect with everybody else. Take it easy. One love. All right. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.